Greetings, brave traveler. As always, I hope you're having a fan-freaking-tastic day. Today, we're going to take a look at the fight Vashj, Serpent Shrine Cavern. I debated super hard about whether or not I wanted to put up the pre-nerf or the post-nerf or a little bit of both. But I decided that since the pre-nerf is over and now everybody's going to be looking at the post-nerf anyway, I might as well just post that and talk about it a little bit. I might talk about the differences a little bit here and there throughout this video, but we'll see how it goes. Without further ado, let's dive right in.
Energy. Power. My people are addicted to it. A dependence made manifest after the Sunwell was destroyed. Welcome to the future. Do not get too comfortable. My demise accomplishes nothing! The Master will have you! You will drown in your own blood! The world shall burn! Ah!
All right, getting into the fight here. We're just kind of setting up for positioning. So biggest things at the start is basically just kind of spread out loosely. We stopped doing the go to the platform strat once the nerfs came out. The boss's health is so inconsequential after the nerfs that we're not really worried about edging out that extra % or 2. So basically spread out, be in your boomkin's aura if you have a boomkin in your group, of course, and try not to get your whole group for lightninged and just DPS. That's what we're doing. So this first phase, there's not a whole lot to it. If you do get the debuff, just move out of the group, get away from your friends so that you're not killing people, and that's basically it as a caster, of course. So this fight's difficulty ramps up a little bit when it goes into phase 2. It was a lot of it going into phase 2 in the last version of this fight. In this version of the fight, however, it's quite easy. The biggest thing we have to do as an Elemental Shaman, of course, is to kite the Strider. That's our job. So we'll go over that in just a moment. In the meantime, phase 2 has started. And we're not getting fork lightning. We're kind of spread out so that we don't hurt our friends as much, basically. And we just want to DPS elementals at this point. If we can get any, of course. So we're checking our timers basically the whole time. We see that a Naga is spawning soon. So that's our cue to help DPS the Naga when it spawns. And immediately after we DPS the Naga, so we'll get in a couple of lightning bolt chain lightnings, and that's basically it. So then the Strider will spawn, the timer will go off. We click off of our salve there, and we immediately frost shock to get initial aggro. Usually people will net right away. I take that opportunity to get off a chain lightning, which has the highest damage, thus the highest threat. Apart from Frost Shock, which has the increased threat ratio. And that's basically it. As you saw, the Strider completely vanished. In the old version of this fight, I would have had to have kited that Strider basically halfway around the room before it even got close to dying. And we have some big caster pumpers, so that tells you a lot. I feel like they went overboard with the nerf originally in TBC. I still feel like it's way overboard, especially now that people are more optimized and know how to play the game better and have better computers and internet connections and all that stuff. Those nerfs are a little too dramatic. They make this fight kind of a joke. So new Strider spawning. We basically immediately go into a lightning bolt chain lightning or a chain lightning frost shock, depending on how much time we have on that ad, if it gets netted right away or not, just to get the highest optimal threat so that the casters can just pump it down and make it disappear as quickly as possible. And then of course we help on the Naga elites again. It used to be fun to be an Elemental Shaman on this fight. I would now argue that it's quite boring. This fight was an epic battle to kill Lady Vashj. is now basically super hard to wipe on. It's quite difficult to wipe on. You have to make a lot of very poor decisions consecutively to wipe on this boss now. So we don't help with the orb toss. We just focus on being up for striders the whole time. That's all we do. So unless you have multiple elemental shamans, and if you do, then maybe you'll be the lucky elemental shaman that just stands still and DPS's stuff and doesn't worry about having threat on targets. Either way, the fight doesn't really change much anymore with the nerfs. So the curve is kind of blended between the standstill LE shaman and the kite LE shaman. Just making sure that elementals don't get to Lady Vashj, kite the strider a little bit, and help with the nagas when we're not kiting the strider. That's our job in phase 2 now. So notice that I do keep my totems basically centralized on the platform at all times, so that for the most part, no matter where things spawn, casters can just get to my totems. That's a basic principle in this fight in phase 2, is what I would say. So new strider spawns, we're back to kiting again. Immediate frost shock, thankfully got a crit because our friends are really zerging this one down before we even get there, which is fine really because you can net it all the way through now. You just want to be the highest threat ideally so that you can kite it out of the middle. So we're going to go ahead and do this next strider. We're going to blow it up. We're holding the orb there. Notice that triangle is the person with the orb at the moment, and the casters took immediate aggro and took the strider over that spot. We really, really want to avoid that. So ideally you can get there faster than anybody else and pump it. I had thought at the time that we were just going to slam it in before the strider spawn. Didn't happen, so I wasn't as active for the strider. New Naga spawns. We blow it up and we put it in. And now it's time to lust, pop cooldowns, and DPS the crap out of Lady Vashj. Cooldowns are popped. Lust is happening. Big pump. Big 5.5k crits right out the gate. That's what you love to see. In this phase, we're so much less worried about poison because the poison doesn't spawn as quickly. The spore bats, there are less of them because the fight doesn't last as long in this phase. As long as you're doing big damage, of course, like our group tends to do. So we're popping all of our stuff consistently and just critting the crap out of the boss. And this is the last phase of the fight. We still use some people, the sporelings, to try to bait the poison, which is still a fundamental. You can do this strat. It's not really necessary. It just helps your melee and lowers the risk of melee death, which is always a good thing because melee death is tragic. So very soon, I'm going to be switching over to enhancement. I'm going to attempt to continue to get elemental POVs for my elemental shaman in the guild. We're going to kind of talk about the way that that is going to work. So I'll be doing elemental and enhancement POVs for the rest of the bosses going forward. So those of you who have subscribed for elemental POVs, don't worry. I'll still be putting out elemental POVs. It just won't be my POV, but I will be talking about and potentially coaching those POVs. So if I find mistakes or things like that, it might actually be a better learning experience. So we'll go under that guise, and hopefully we'll continue to still learn stuff as Elemental Shamans and Enhancement Shamans, and it'll be super fun. So that's it for this fight. We'll see you in a second. Alright, what you just saw was the Lady Vashj fight in Serpent Shrine Cavern. It's through the Elemental Shaman PoV, of course. I PoV. If this video helped you at all, or you found it entertaining, please consider leaving a like on the video, and also consider subscribing to keep up with videos like this going forward. In Black Temple, I'll be doing this for Hyjal, I'll be doing this for basically every fight throughout the rest of the expansion, as well as a whole bunch of Wrath of the Lich King content coming out, and content that I'm partnered with Filmora for to give you a behind the scenes look into how I make videos. So if any of that interests you, consider that subscribe button. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, folks, and until next time, farewell.